Buenos dias, Tuesday the 25th of April. Hello, Pastor Jim Cymbala here in beautiful downtown Brooklyn, New York. We have things happen in our church. You have to keep a sense of humor. We have sometimes dangerous things have happened, but it's just that Brooklyn is unique. There's a craziness in Manhattan that is uniquely Manhattan. I'm born and raised here in Brooklyn, and then there's one Brooklyn. The security people were just reminding me of the guy who came in, and he walked into the lobby, first-time visitor, wearing a huge metal pail on his head with the handle of the pail going under his chin to hold his hat/pail on. So security stopped him. You know, usually try to stop people who are wearing pails on their head. That's usually a good rule, because who knows what could go on in the meeting. And the guy was stopped and said, "You can't go into the auditorium wearing that pail on your head." It was high, big metal pail. Well, why not? It'll be a distraction, and they're trying to size up, is this guy altogether? So he said, "Oh, you want me to take it off?" They said, "Yeah." So he said, "Would you please hold my Bible?" And he handed his Bible to security and then undid the handle and took the pail off. And with it under his arm, he went into a Sunday service at the Brooklyn Tabernacle. Bet that hasn't happened in your church. We feature pails. And also lately, same security people told me, we had an older gentleman who came in. Again, the wiring maybe was bad. He was wearing a life jacket, a huge life jacket that you wear like when you're thrown in the sea, if you're working with whatever. And they said, "Why are you wearing this huge life jacket over your clothes?" Noah, the flood. I'm not going down today. If that flood comes, if God sends another flood, I'm floating. I'm not going under. So we talked and tried to minister. A lot of sincere people are seeking after God, and then there are people who could cause a distraction, and that's what we're trying not to have, to ruin it for thousands of people because of one, person who... One time in a service, someone started chanting at me from the first row, monosyllables, uba, uba, ubala. And I said, this is 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And it was a lady, and I tried to make her, looked at her, tried to stop that. You could hear it. She was out loud. And I said, "Excuse me, hold that, would you please?" And uba, oh, saying things. So then I went, "Excuse me, you're out of order." And then she yelled out, "No, you're out of order." She told me I was out of order in my own church. That's Brooklyn for you. You got to visit one day. After the Philistines, chapter 5, had captured the Ark of God, they took it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. These are towns. There they carried the ark into Dagon's temple. Ashdod is in Philistine territory. And set it beside Dagon, their idol. When the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, there was Dagon fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. They took Dagon and put him back in his place. But the following morning, when they rose, there was Dagon, fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. His head and hands had been broken off and were lying on the threshold. Only his body remained. Imagine if you serve a God who, if he falls over, he breaks his hands and his head, and that's your God. Oh, these idols. That is why, to this day, neither the priests of Dagon nor any others who enter Dagon's temple at Ashdod step on the threshold, because that's where his head and hands had been broken off and lying on the threshold. So they observed the threshold. You're talking about superstition. The Lord's hand was heavy on the people of Ashdod and its vicinity, and he brought devastation on them and afflicted them with tumors. And when the people of Ashdod saw what was happening, they said, the ark of the God of Israel must not stay here with us, because his hand is heavy on us and on Dagon, on our God. So they called together all the rulers of the Philistines and asked them, what shall we do with the ark of God of Israel? And they answered, have the ark of the God of Israel moved to Gath. So they removed the ark of the God of Israel. In other words, when the Israelites brought the ark of God to give them good luck in the battle, it did nothing because of the people. You can't fool God. You're not serving God. You're not representing God. You're not walking with him. You then can't call on him. He's not an ATM. A lot of people have God as an ATM. Don't care about him. Don't walk with him. Don't read the word. Don't have him numero uno in su corazón. Pero in the day of trouble, I'm going to use my credit card or my bank card. But now when the ark is brought and put in the temple of an idol, it's like the presence of God symbolically. It happened, but what the lesson is get this God out of here. He can't stand even near the presence of the true God, which is what the Ark of the Covenant represented. So 2 nights in a row, Dagon is just, what do they call that? Just face down. And then his head and his hands get knocked off and fall on the threshold. So now the priests thereafter didn't walk on the threshold, because that's where poor Dagon lost his head and his hands. But let's worship him anyway. You see how people are. You would think if anyone was objective, the Philistines would say, what's the lesson here? Maybe Dagon ain't all that. Maybe he's nothing but a filthy idol. Maybe the God of Israel the ark is a symbol of the true God who has power, and he manifested it in this strange way. No. Let's get rid of the Ark of the Covenant. I know, but that just was symbolic of the power of God who knocked your idol off his perch. We still got to follow Dagon, because my mother and grandmother were big Dagonites. They followed Dagon, and we can't turn away. It's our culture. Don't we deal with that today, though? Jesus rose from the dead. Millions and millions of people's lives have been changed. There's the fruit of it, right? Buddha doesn't change anyone. Allah doesn't change anyone. Muhammad doesn't change any life and give a new heart. There's no testimonies of drug addicts being saved by the power of these other gods. Only Jesus. But even with all of that, people choose no. Niet. I don't want to hear about this Jesus. I love Jesus today. How about you? I'd rather have Jesus than anything. He's waiting now till God makes his enemies his footstool, and then he's going to return. Let's serve him with all our heart and look for the second coming of Jesus Christ. It could be today. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.